I am Kristen Dostal, the Development Director for the Epilepsy Foundation of Wisconsin, and I work with Alicia.
Yes, and we have Andrea. Andrea, go for it. I'm going to let you share all about yourself.
Well, that could take hours. We're going to do the brief intro. I'm Andrea Yenter. I'm the camp director here at the Wisconsin Lions Camp, and I have been in this role for 18 years and have been working with Kristen for a lot of those years. And Alicia will be brand spanking new this year. We'll get her into the party.
Yay. Looking forward to it too. Great. Well, so we just have some questions today for you. So Andrew, the first one, we're going to start out kind of broad. So what is Lions Camp? And then, how is it unique from any other camp out there?
Perfect. So Lions Camp is a project of our parent organization, which is the Wisconsin Lions Foundation. That's the 501c3 organization that serves us. And we were formed at the same time. And so the foundation actually does 5 projects. So if you see the eyeglass collection bucket, come to our site. So that's an example of other things we do here. But camp is obviously our biggest and most visible project. We serve people from 5 different populations all across the state of Wisconsin. So our deaf and hard of hearing kiddos, our blind and visually impaired youth and adults, our children and young adults with intellectual disabilities and or autism, our youth with diabetes, and last but not least, you folks, our youth with epilepsy is part of our crew. So the beautiful bonus thing is everyone comes to camp for free, and that's what makes us very unique, which means we got to do a lot of fundraising, but we make it happen. And every year we typically serve 1,200 campers.
Wow.
COVID, we might make 800. We'll see how it works out, but we're getting back to where we should be. So that's good stuff.
That is wonderful. That's great. So I'm actually going to ask, since you did mention COVID, can you talk a little bit kind of what the protocols for this season will be? Obviously things are different.
I can tell you what they are at the moment.
Okay.
They keep changing, as we all know, and see, the CDC just was like, great, you're vaccinated, you don't need masks. But what a lot of people don't know, the CDC has issued separate guidance for summer camp that is actually more restrictive than what it was last year, which is wildly interesting. So in a nutshell, there are a few things we're doing. One, campers, before they come to camp, need to either do a 14-day pre-screening. We'll send you a form, what symptoms you need to look for, or you can choose, and this is your choice, to bring me documentation of a negative PCR test done within 3 days of camp. Some areas of the state are really quick and can do it. Some areas of the state you can't. So that's why we have 2 options. You need one or the other. That's your ticket to get in, because what we're trying to do is reduce the need for campers to wear masks. We know a lot of our campers have sensory issues, and we just want to make it so that you're a little more comfortable. Once you get to camp, all of our campers are in groups. So each building is called a unit, which is also known as a cohort. And so that cohort of campers and students will travel all around camp at their own party. Cool. We can have up to 9. They will not interact. There's no large group partying going on. You are within your group. Meals are staggered. Campers will go through a buffet line. There are certain areas in camp that are mask only. So if you need to go into the health lodge, we will give you a mask. If you need to come into the offices of the memorial building, we will give you a mask. But most campers don't need to do that, and those would be really rare exceptions. A lot of what we're doing has been shifted to being outside. You're having campers leave on Thursday night to give us a full day on Friday to clean like crazy, because we keep things really clean. And last but not least, we will have campers be part of that cleaning. So hand washing happens 5, 6, 7 times a day. We are not fans of hand sanitizer. 1, because they're inconsistent. 2, because it's a bad habit. Soap and water killed not just COVID. So let's develop some good habits there. 2, hand sanitizer has been kind of iffy. You've seen there's been some good ones, and then there's been some good ones that have been pulled from the market. So let's not expose ourselves to something we shouldn't. And 3, learning how to use soap and water, life skill, right? So campers will be doing soap and water, washing door handles, washing their own wardrobe handles, real simple, easy task. And if you look at me and say, my child doesn't clean, they will clean and they will learn. So you may want to just keep that in mind after they come back from camp. You might have someone to clean.
There you go.
There you go. Staff will follow up with a disinfectant product. you know, and the staff will apply that, but it is generally child safe, but we don't want them to spray that. But it's a good thing. And really, those are the things. Oh, if you, the parent, guess what? You bring in the camper, terrific. Stay out. You don't get to go in the buildings. You're not going to be living there. And we are testing our staff on a weekly basis just because we think that would be a little bit better. We made it last summer for 3 weeks. I'd like to make it this summer for all 9.
That would be good. It sounds like, yeah, there was a lot of planning. There's a lot of
Yes,
planning.
and that's
to
the
make
plan
sure-
as of today.
Okay.
When I send the letter to campers 3 weeks prior, it might be a little, you know, I can't tell you. Ultimately, the ultimate authority for camp operations is the health department here in this county. So they decide if we open, they decide if we close. You know, the CDC and the American Camp Association, you know, I've got all this goodness, but the final authority really is the health department. So if something happens in Portage County, there's a huge outbreak, you know, whatever that might be, they tell me what I need to do. So just an FYI, I get a lot of people like, well, the CDC might be wrong. I get it, but that's not who we're responsible to. It is the health
Right.
department for our license that operates, so they can tell us yes or no.
Okay, that makes perfect sense.
Yes.
Yeah, sounds like a
Okay.
lot. Sounds like a lot of planning and a lot of good things to make sure that everybody's safe and teach you some life skills as well, like you said, some cleaning skills. So, right, when they go home, the parents can say, no, 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 you cleaned at camp.
That's
Let's
right.
clean
Yeah.
at home. There you go. That's good. It's a win-win. So let's back up a little bit. So what does the application process look like?
So we have moved the application online. I acknowledge there are a few folks that are not online savvy or have access to the internet. Not a problem. Call our office and they will send you an application. But the online application is super easy, super simple to use. Even if you think like, it's really just you can do it. I have faith in you. It also makes the process a lot faster. We can send your confirmation documents right to you via online system. It's a little more secure. We can review it much quicker. We can keep things from year to year. You can do your payment online now. You're like, what? Camp is free. You're right. It is. For a $25 application deposit. That deposit is meant to ensure that you call if you're going to cancel camp. It really eliminates the problem of no-show, people who just don't show up. Because it was free, so we don't need to call. That's rude. And it doesn't allow us really plan well. And especially it takes us all sorts of time to coordinate food service and healthcare and staffing. We really would appreciate the, courtesy of a call. The $25 gets shoved right into the camper's door account where they can get a little treat and snack each day. And then the remainder can be donated to camp, which we'd appreciate, or we can refund it to you. So, it's not really a fee. It's really meant to make sure you cancel if you need to cancel.
Yeah.
Which you might have to say that, but that's kind of how it is.
No, appreciate that. That's good. So the next question for you is, what is the age, limit? What's the youngest and what's the oldest a camper can come?
Well, this year we did 10 to 17 because we needed a strict number of campers. So we did that by restricting age. We knew some people would be nervous with COVID, and I get it. We cannot 100% guarantee that COVID won't come to camp. Heck, I can't 100% guarantee that camp is safe anyway. I mean, no one can give you a guarantee that life is safe. Let's put it that way. But, we figured our older campers would probably have a better shot at handling things like going through a buffet line for meals, at doing the extra cleaning, at not getting close to those other groups and cohort. Our younger kiddo, they like to hug, they like to see their friends.
Oh, yeah.
It's really hard. And so that we're just trying to set ourselves up for success. Really hoping moving forward, we can get back to the normal age, which has been 8 to 17. Maybe I can talk the Epilepsy Foundation into younger. We do go as young as 6, so that, who knows? Watch us for 2022. You never know what we come out with, but
Right.
that's the typical range we serve. But this year only is 10 to 17.
Okay, that sounds good. Thank you. So any camper that comes with medication, that's really important that they take that on time, especially anti-seizure meds. What is that process like? How is that handled at camp?
Well, we got a few nurses, just a few. We have lots of nurses. We typically handle anywhere between, 400 and 450 different medications a week. So this isn't rocket science for us. This is what we do every day. I have a full-time healthcare supervisor who, I shouldn't say that, she's a year-round part-time healthcare supervisor. So we have a consistent person. She reviews the medication that you put in on your application to determine we can handle them. Once you get here, we have all sorts of forms for you to fill out on confirmation. And I know parents get a little twitchy, but here's what I'm going to tell you. Give me all the information I need to make sure I can keep your camper as safe as possible. And that includes medication, and that's going to include a seizure questionnaire. Let us know about the seizure. What does it look like? What are the triggers? What are the auras? What are the things we should be looking for? And then also, what's your medical treatment plan? Rescue medication and 911, rescue medication and take some time, rescue medication, call mom and dad. Every person with seizures is just like all of our other campers, unique in how they handle their particular party, right? I hate the word disability, so we'll call it party, rock out, it's good. So that's why I need those forms to come back. Paula reviews them all. You bring the medication with you to camp. Here's the thing. They need to be in original bottle. We need to see the script because our nurses work under the scripts. The scripts are considered a doctor's orders. So what on that bottle is what we have to follow. So if things have changed, you better check in with your healthcare professional and make sure those are updated. The pill boxes, glorious. We can't do those here. We need to see scripts. Our nurses need to know exactly what medication they're giving. Rescue medication, bring them in labels. If you've got a diastat, right on the actual tube, right? Because it comes in that plastic container. Well, if we're going to use it, we're going to take it out. We're not going to have the plastic container. So always label everything that you can label. We are pretty comfortable with most, if not all, seizure medication. Kristen and Alicia and the Epilepsy Foundation keep us pretty up to date. Paul and I are also first responders, so we get to see the newest stuff that goes on, including the nasal rescue medication. Those are some fantastic things happening with it, and we're ready for it. So medication times are really strict. Our staff know it. We give each counselor a listing of what medications need to happen. We have wristbands on our campers to identify different medical conditions. The staff wear wristbands to write the medication times on it. We will track them down if they don't get there on time. So, we get it. Medication time is huge, just like sleep is huge, just like the pool is huge, all those different triggers. And you just let us know what it is that we need to do to keep them safe and give them the best chance of success. So that's why we need to work together. So long answer short, we got you.
Perfect. Yes. So be as descriptive as possible is what it kind of sounds like also. Great. So you talked about the nurses. I know that there's counselors there from when I visited a couple of years ago. What is the typical counselor to child ratio? And obviously, this year maybe it's different than what it was 2 years ago when I was there.
So typically 1 to 6, obviously with 2 staff in every building, it ends up being more like 1 to 3. Not a guarantee though. 1 to 6 is our maximum. So it could fluctuate. 1 to 3, 1 to 4 is what we're aiming for.
Okay.
We're not a 1-to-1 or 1-on-2. So if your child has more extra needs, especially in the areas of self-care, dressing, bathing, toileting, our staff are not trained for that. In terms of if they need to do one-on-one or to actually be hands-on. We will verbal prompt all day long. We will do everything we can to help the camper handle those skills on their own. But if there are some self-care issues, we do need to know about it. Now, with that being said, if there's self-care issues that's part of the seizure or post-ical behavior, yeah, we can handle that. That's completely a separate issue. And we're well aware and we're all over it, right? Our healthcare staff and our administrative staff are well trained in handling those things with dignity and tact, which we all need a little more of, don't we? So that's 2 separate issues. But if it's just personal self-care skills on an overall day-to-day basis, we may want to have a conversation. You can always just give me a call.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
On that, we've talked about, lots of people have questions and things like that, and to write as much as you possibly can in your application if there are concerns. There isn't ever too much information, and that's, part of the application process where it's gone through, notes are taken, to make sure that those things, are active, that we can handle it, all of that kind of good stuff. One question I think that sometimes parents have that I've been asked in the past is, what if some of those things change from the time that you've applied to camp and that your application has been submitted, approved, and now camp is happening in 2 weeks and some of those conditions have changed? Is it?
Yeah, just
what
call
do?
us.
Just call. Yeah.
Just call and update us. We know med change, routine change, life change. I mean, that's not, I'd be surprised if it didn't change between the application and camp time. Let's be real. Because we do ask for the applications ahead of time. Things are going to change. You just need to let us know. Letting us know the date of registration, not cool. I'll give you a hard time about it because registration is chaotic. We're trying to push through, 80, 100 campers with all sorts of information, all sorts of questions. And so the more information we have ahead of time makes life easier. And that's the reason why I expect all the forms to be in 2 weeks prior to camp. If they're not, I'm going to cancel you, because what that's telling me is either A, you're not quite ready for camp. Let's be honest, and that's okay. It's a process to get through. Or B, you don't care. Well, or you don't think I'm going to cancel you. I'll cancel you. Because we need everything we can do to keep campers are safe. So it just goes back to that point. Give me everything. Let me have a good amount of time to review all of the information and find the best fit, best cabin, best counselor, everything, so that it will be successful.
Perfect. Kristen, do you have anything else with that? I have one more question for Andrea.
Not on that, but I have other things, that I'm sure.
Okay, well, let me ask this one. This one's kind of a fun one, and then I will let you ask some as well. So this is a two-part question, Andrea. So a typical week at camp. You don't have to maybe list out everything, but can you kind of just share maybe what a typical week would look like, maybe like what a daily routine would be, I guess, and then some of the activities that campers can expect.
Oh gosh, typical outside. The typical thing about camp is nothing is typical.
Yeah.
No, typically speaking, we get up around 7 in the morning. Breakfast is right around 8, and with the staggered time, it's going to be between 8 and 9. We'll get you there through the buffet line. Activities happen in the morning. The small group activities, so those units, those cohorts, you're doing everything together. You will plan 2 or 3 activities in the morning. It'll be lunch with that old buffet line. We'll move into a rest hour. We'll do some activity, a snack time, more activity, supper, more activities, snack time. And, obviously med times are in there. Our typical med times are 8, noon, 5:30, and hour of sleep, 8:30. Typically we grant a half-hour window around those. Obviously with seizure meds or medications that need to be tight, we'll keep them tight. But for the camper who's getting, they get a melatonin before bed, we get it in there. And so it's just, we keep them busy, we get them up and we get them moving and we run them around until, 9 o'clock at night. I would really hope that when you pick them up on Thursday night, they fall asleep on the way home. That's a really good sign. All the activities are pretty much any typical camp would do. Our biggest thing is we just tweak things a little bit differently to make sure that we're respectful of the party that each camper has. So if you are a camper who can't handle a lot of heat and a lot of walking, we are not going to send you on a hike in the afternoon. Just doesn't make sense. What's really kind of lovely about these 2 years with COVID is that the small groups really get a chance to decide what they want to do with a small group, and they don't have to worry about what everyone else is doing. So there's a lot of freedom. They really just get a huge list of activities and put down their requests for each day, and then we schedule it on the master schedule. We're really spoiled. We have 440 acres. Our lake is a 45-acre private lake, so long as we use it for people with disabilities. So that's beautiful. The waterfront's all over it. We have a challenge course. We've got nature. We have craft. We have sports. We've got, all sorts of lawn games. It's just a full plethora of things to do. As long as they're tired on Thursday, we will know we have been successful.
Yes, that's wonderful. I do have to ask a question though, because I missed this last year or 2 years ago. Is there still a mud pit or something, right? Is that still happening?
It's still there. It's still happening. It's still either you love it or you hate it.
Okay.
again, you know, campers, they love it or they hate it. You like the community, you don't. Yeah, if there is still a lot of fun. I don't think it's gonna be as big because we haven't really, you know, gotten in there in the last year and a half. So we'll see what it looks like. We haven't really gone down there, so I'm really curious. But it's been interesting because we've had a lot more wildlife. We had a lot more things grow over
Mhm.
and using the facility like we typically do. So we'll see how the nature react to us being back. We'll see.
Well, I'm very excited. I'm hoping I can do that with the campers this year. I'd love to.
Oh, well, yeah, you kind of have to.
Yeah, I will. I will gladly get in there. Kristen can take the pictures. But
Sounds like a
Kristen,
plan.
You said you
I
might
feel
have
like
a
that's
question.
going to be a Facebook Live, Alicia. Quite frankly.
Perfect. Yeah.
Yes.
I'd
We're
be okay with that.
broadcasting. I got to do the high ropes challenge course, the new one
Yeah,
2 years ago, and that was a
Right.
blast.
yeah.
It
It's
was
all about the fun. It's about pushing your boundaries in ways that are safe, yet, you know, growth inducing. We want you to grow. We want them to have fun. We want them to experience, you know, what camp is. You know, our party over here, we'll work on it. We got it. It's not a big deal, really, at camp. I know a lot of parents are gonna be like, yes, it is a big deal. It really isn't. That's just a small part of what our campers are. We'll take care of everything else when they come to camp. And, you know, really remind you that, yes, you may have a seizure disorder or epilepsy, but it's just this part of you. And there's all this other part there that we will nurture
Yeah.
when you're at camp.
Mhm.
Oh, that's wonderful. I really like the way that you said that. That's great. Kristen, did
Yeah.
you have other questions for Andrea?
I think some of the things that we've come in contact in questions are what makes Lions Camp different than a traditional camp.
Mhm.
Some of the things that parents have, you know, kind of questioned me on before in the past is things like bunk beds and stairs and just some of those things that you know, I think a lot of times that's something natural you think about, like, oh, camp has bunk beds, not at Lions Camp, correct, Andrea?
No, we
Um,
do not.
so
We don't have a lot of stairs. You know, our terrain main camp is mostly blacktop for paths, you know. Well, when we main camp, then it's gravel path, but they're wide and pretty flat and easily accessible by vehicle. You know, it's camp just with a few tweaks, and it really doesn't take much. I know sometimes, again, when you're in the mindset and you're thinking about how do you take care of this party, you know, it seems like a lot, but it really isn't. And we do that for each week, and each population has its own unique adaptation, but they're not big, life-shattering, expensive, crazy things that no one else can do. They really are small tweaks that just make it that much easier. You know, it's not like attention people with epilepsy, please avoid the stair. You know what I mean? Like that's
Yes.
it's just part of the natural programming, you know, and what best works for us is we just talk to our campers. What works for you? Does this work? Doesn't work? I don't know. You tell me. We have what we call the Lions Camp Golden Rule. You know, the Golden Rule is, you know, treat others like you would want to be treated, and that's wrong. We need to treat others how they would like to be treated, and we talk about that a lot in staff training. We need to ask our campers what they would like us to do for them. If anything, I think a lot of times we underestimate, quite frankly, the ability, skills, and talents of our campers across all populations. So if we don't ask, if we don't recognize, if we don't work with campers to advocate, we're not going to get those answers. And that's really a big piece of what camp has been moving towards over the last couple of years. Instead of a management type of thing, we've moved to a mentoring and really just making life that much more fun. And, you know, yeah, you got a party, but it doesn't have to steal the show. I'm just saying, you know, but that's something that I try to reassure parents about. I'm a parent, please. Good Lord, I'd like to make his life so much easier, but how's he going to learn? I'm going to say, I mean, he's not passing algebra right now. He's a junior and I'm totally throwing him under the bus, but you know what, bud, you got to fix it. If you don't pass, that's on you. So it's wildly entertaining. His dad is not having it, but life lesson. Really interesting.
I love it. I love
I
it.
know, I'm laughing because that happened today, and I'm just, my son is on my mind with that stupid algebra. I'll tell you what, oh.
Hey, life is full of challenges, isn't it? And it's
So
about how to
many, so
overcome
many.
that. I
So
mean,
many.
absolutely.
It is what we have, that's the party. So how do we make it more fun? A few more balloons, a couple more streamers, more cake. We can always use more cake.
Mhm.
We too. Yes, we absolutely do.
Yeah.
Yes.
Speaking of which, we can totally work with diets. That's the other thing.
Yeah, I
Oh,
was gonna say, yep, diet.
Keto diets, if you're gluten-free, if you're vegetarian, if you're vegan, we got you. We may ask you to bring a few things that we may not have in our kitchen, but again, if you put the information on the application and confirmation form, we'll see it and we'll reach out to you to make sure we got it all, everything that we need.
Yes. And Andrew, the deadline, can you just share?
Friday.
Yes.
Friday. It has to be on May 21st. And I know people are saying, but it's not full yet. But here's the deal. May 24th, my staff are here. I do not have time to review applications and chase parents and educators around to get information. We deliberately set that guideline because the application come out mid-January. So if you can't decide between mid-January and May 21st to send your kiddo to camp, you're probably not ready. And, or, it doesn't work for your schedule. I get it. And it is okay. I will say that camp is not right for everyone. We may not be the right camp for you, but we can try to find a camp that's right for you. Or you may just not be a camp person. Again, I'm going to throw my son under the bus. He does not like camp. Doesn't like it. I tried sending him to one. He made it 2 years and that was it. Okay. Sometimes it's not for everyone. So it is something parents should also consider. Yes. It's a great way to explore and experience, but if your child is really pushing back on you, take a minute and listen. And maybe what we need to do is just have you visit in the fall and have some conversation and get them comfortable with what camp looks like and how it would feel before you shove them over here. So we do have options that way too.
So if somebody does want to come visit, you said the fall, is there a specific date?
No, they can just call. Usually I would say come in the summer while we're running. Let's just let many people rolling through, right? We are not allowing visitors and or tours this summer again, just because it's not a bubble. That's such an incorrect term. It's really, we're just trying to create an area, a zone of low risk. And so it's not a low risk zone when you have people just running through it. So we just need to be thoughtful about that. So typically I would say, yeah, you could come in the summer, not this year. So aim for the fall or maybe the spring, and we can always show you around and reassure any concerns or fears you might have. I mean, I get it. There's a small level of trust that you need to have us in our program, but we'll do everything we can to make it a good, safe experience for you.
We do have a video too. A couple of years ago, we got to make a camp video, so you actually can kind of see what camp looks like. And you get to see some of the kids, having some fun. I think there were some cartwheels happening and handstands and coloring and all kinds of fun. So that was pretty cool. And I think one thing that we should just mention super quick is that if somebody's on the fence about camp, where they're maybe want to, maybe don't want to, would you, I know we've kind of advised to apply to camp. And if you choose not to attend later, it's easiest to go that way. We can't, we can't create spots out of,
It happens all the time. It happens all the time. You can cancel. It's not a big deal. Just call me the week before and say, we decided not to. But you can't call me after May 21st. Say, well, we were thinking about it. We're ready now. Too late, sunshine. That deadline has passed, and I hold very firm to it.
All right. So this Friday, get it in by this Friday.
It is 100% no exception, because, of course, if I do for one, I need to do for others. So apply. If it doesn't work out or you're not able to do it, then you can easily cancel. And I know they're saying, oh my gosh, but I might take space from another camper. So you call me 2 weeks before. If I have a wait list rolling, I'll do it. I'm gonna say this now, this year I don't have a wait list, and it's okay because, we're just in a weird time. So once we
Are.
Yes.
fog of that, next year we should be rolling in a different direction, a better direction. I'm not gonna say back to normal because really nothing's really normal,
Yeah,
put it that way.
right. Well, at least, camp is going forward, right? You guys are taking precautions and doing all the appropriate things, and it's great. Campers will still have a good time. Parents can, send their kids to camp, and it'll be fun. It'll be a party.
That's right.
That's what I will say. It'll be a party. Great. Well, Andrea, anything else you want to add? I don't have any other questions for you, but we appreciate your
think so.
time.
I think
Yeah.
we did it. Not a problem.
Thank you so much. Kristen, anything else from you?
I don't think so. I'm ready for camp. Like,
I know.
This is
I'm not. We can wait. It's okay. I'm still getting ready for staff training. Just slow down. Slow down. The month of May goes way too quick.
Definitely. All right, Andrea. Well, thank you so much. We really appreciate it. And we will talk soon.
Sounds great. Thank you.